You do have a unique opportunity here to go. I mean, at this point, you've been a really Hall of Fame tag team run at this point with APA. So, we often see when a tag team breaks up, hey man, some guys, rise to the occasion, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And that was their legacy. They're a tag team wrestler. In an alternate universe, if you're with anybody other than Eddie, the JBL character may not have taken off the way it did, right? I mean, he's the perfect guy for you to make that transition from tag team to main event against, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I had the perfect character to play off of Eddie. So, yeah, 100%. Randy Orton talked one time about how when he got the title, when he became the youngest title holder in WWE, that he was a little too young for it. I understand that in hindsight. If I'd have got a push when I came in like I thought I should have, everybody when they comes in thinks they should get that push. I'm glad I didn't, because I think I would have blown it. I needed the tutorship of Dutch Mantell and Barry Windham, and then Ron Simmons, the biggest influence in my life. Ron really taught me how to be a heel. Ron really taught me how to be a champion and how to carry myself that way. But without Eddie Guerrero, this would have never worked. This would have been a one-and-done deal. There's no way that this works with anybody but Eddie Guerrero. People just wouldn't have believed it. I got very lucky with the opponent. I got very lucky with the angle that we did down in El Paso with his mother. But it was all because of Eddie.
One of the first angles that you guys do together is Kurt Angle is going to announce as the general manager on SmackDown that he's going to award a real American trophy to the number one contender. And he says that Cena got the most votes on the internet, but before he can get the trophy, Layfield shows him a video of him at the border stopping Mexicans from coming into the United States. You're going to cut a promo talking about how Mexicans are ruining the economy, healthcare, the welfare system for all of us hardworking Americans. You even chase some Mexicans. That's Rudy Boy Gonzalez.
Yep.
Friend of Shawn Michaels, a mainstay in the Texas wrestling scene. Of course, Kurt Angle loves all this and gives you the trophy. But as it turns out, Eddie switches the trophies, and the new trophy now has a picture of Eddie Guerrero. This is hilarious. Eddie's going to come out with a lowrider. He's got the actual trophy on the hood of the car. This is the way we really get this thing kicked off. Is this one of the most important nights in the history of your career, do you think?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. For one, I'm not sure why I'm not the border czar for Trump coming up. I mean, I did such a great job down there. People
were 20 years now. My God.
That's right. People were so happy with it. Now there's now coming around to realizing that JBL was right. And
oh my God.
And that's the story. You've heard it. I know you're not talking about somebody else, where me and Bruce almost got shot showing up to a wrong ranch. And the guy knew my dad is the only reason I think the only reason he didn't shoot us legitimately.
Tell us that whole story. Go ahead.
So we were in East Texas, and we set up to go to a ranch down there. And we had Rudy Boy come up, and Bruce came down, and my father grew up in that area. And so we go to a ranch. We got guys with flashlights out looking around because we're going to shoot it at dark. And some rancher comes up, and all he does is he sees all these guys with flashlights looking in his house. And this old rancher comes up with a gun in his lap, and he is determined to shoot me and Bruce. 100%. He's determined to shoot us. And when he's talking to us, he never pulls the gun and points it at us, but he's got the gun in his lap, and it's not there for show. You can tell. Right. He's not happy that he thinks we're robbing his ranch, and he doesn't know what's going on, but he thinks we're robbing it. So finally, I'm trying to explain to the guy, and I said, he said, "What's your name?" I said, "John Layfield, sir." He said, "You related to Lavelle Layfield?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "That's a good man." I said, "That's my dad." He goes, "You're kidding me." He goes, "Well, what are you doing here?" And all of a sudden he puts the gun up, and I said, "We're at the wrong place, sir. And you just almost shot us." He goes, I did almost shoot you." So, we were like off by one or two ranches or something, but literally we almost got shot. Thank God the guy knew my dad, and that eased the whole situation.
When you're shooting that vignette and putting it together with JBL running people off at the border, did you know immediately how that was going to be received? I mean, what we heard at the time reading the newsletters is that SmackDown was really aimed towards the Latino audience, and that was the audience they were trying to grow. That was the priority for SmackDown. So you doing a character like this and skits like this, boy, this is just instant heat. Did you feel like, hey, this is money when you're doing it, or were you maybe not so sure how this would be received?
I thought it was really good. I really thought it was good. We got lucky, or I got lucky, because when Eddie won the title, and I don't think they had these towns booked before they planned on putting the title on Eddie. I'm not sure. We were in the Southwest United States for the next almost 2 months. So we had a massive Latino audience in every live event we went to. And I don't know if they had planned that out on purpose. I don't think they did, but they could have. If they did, it was brilliant. So we were really lucky in responses we were getting because Eddie was so freaking over in all these places, especially there. He's over with the, place, people of all colors, but especially in the Latino community because he was this great Latino champion. I knew then that this video, if we did it right, could be really good. It was kind of modeled off of Tombstone where he's on the train station platform. You tell him to come back and hell's coming with me. That was what I was thinking of as we were doing it. I knew it was good.
When you have a vignette like this or a segment like this, I know that Bruce is there sort of running and shooting with you, but
yep.
When Vince first sees the clip, are you there? Is this something he sees at the show, at the building before it makes air and you guys are around to monitor, or what's that like?
I did watch it with Vince, but I did not watch it the first time with Vince. I don't think he wanted to watch it back. He loved it. He thought it was terrific. He thought it was just fantastic. You know what? A good heel doesn't know they're a heel, and a good heel speaks truth. Now that truth may be skewed through the lens that the heel has in his brain, that there's a reason for it. But a good heel just doesn't say you people suck. And the reason you say you people suck is because they're a bad guy. The good heel explains why those people suck. A good heel explains why he's doing things, and there's a method behind it other than I'm just a bad guy. And so what we were doing a lot of this was what was going on for real on the border, still is to this day. I just took it to a different level and put myself in a heel character dealing with immigrants who are just coming over for a better life, however you view that, which I certainly had a different view because I grew up on a ranch working with guys who are undocumented illegal guys. I have a complete different view about the migrant workers that come over, but I knew how hot of a topic it was, and so did Eddie. Eddie gave us a lot of feedback going into this about what we needed to say, what we needed to do. Eddie was very involved in everything we did.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to is his involvement, because obviously if you're doing something that, hey, listen, it's going to offend some people, you probably want to make sure he's cool with it all too. But hey, man, you were his handpicked guy from what we've heard. And as you've said, the narrative has been out there that once he becomes champion, they do start to try to cater towards more Latin markets. Like even the title change, supposedly they knew that there was a big Latin population in San Francisco, and that's where they wanted to do it. So everything you're saying makes sense about what towns they're picking and when, but we've also heard the other side of that. Bruce has told us here on this program that, man, Eddie felt the pressure of being the champion. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, Eddie felt it tough. And I wish he'd got the title again because I think he'd have been fine with it. When he got it the first time, it was, and I've seen this happen a lot with champions. Some people grow with the title. Some people shrink with this title. Some people become overwhelmed with the title. Eddie became a little bit overwhelmed with it. And I don't mean that from the ring work, but Eddie was always looking at ratings and looking at crowd size. And it really, okay, well, the rating was down here. Maybe, is that my fault? And I would say, Eddie, you weren't even in the segment. So no, it wasn't your fault. It really weighed on him being champion. He knew the pressure of it. He took that pressure really tough. And I wish he had become champion again, because he would have, I think he'd have been completely different. Now, that being said, none of it showed in his work. Absolutely zero of it ever showed in his work that he was cracking or anything else. But there was a lot of pressure you could tell that Eddie felt. And by what he talked about, I said, hey, let's just do quality. Let's not worry about ratings. Let's not worry about crowds. And he go, well, we got to do this. We got to do that. It really weighed on him.
When do you think that changed? I mean, I know that your in-ring career ended, or maybe it did. I'm not sure. But you've been around the business the entire time. I mean, since 1995, you've been around the WWE and had your ear to the grindstone, so to speak. But it does feel like there was a shift where at some point, whoever held the title no longer felt that same responsibility, or am I off base?
I think it depends on the champion. It's tough. In a bad territory, nobody wants the championship. Undertaker used to get the championship when business was bad, right? And he had to carry the company. That's a tough role that nobody wants. They would call him, say, "Oh, hey, Undertaker, he just had a surgery or whatever happened. Hey, we got to break glass and bring you out because business is down." So they'd bring him back just to revive something. That's one of the toughest roles there is. When a territory is hot, everybody wants to be on top. When a territory is not, it doesn't. that started changing to me, I think, when you had several title changes in a row, say in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, and you had so many different people going back and forth between shows. It was no longer like this is a SmackDown show. You know, when we went to the Staples Center, we knew this was a SmackDown show, 100%. Now, when you go, you don't know for sure later how it happened. Okay, this is a WWE show, and I think you lose that pressure on the main guy to say, okay, I sold the place out or I didn't.
Right.
Because Conrad, you're right. You don't see that in a lot of people. You don't see that. I think Cody Rhodes has understood what being the main guy is very well, and I think he's done an incredible job. I think he's done a wonderful job. The workload that he's under is so admirable. I mean, it's really he's like Cena.
Yeah,
the guy never stops. He understands how important it is to be when you're the lead face. You got to put people in seats, and you got to put cash in the company's pockets. And I think Cody does a terrific job with it. Cena did a terrific job with it. There's so many people that did, but there's a lot of champions in there between that never really felt that. That's a good point.